Well, I would like to welcome all of you to our second installment of our ADAudit workshops. And I see that most of you are from what appears to be the United States, but if we have anyone from around the world, I want to welcome you all. Just to give you a little bit of input or feedback on kind of how these workshops work. We have done a handful of workshops for AD Manager Plus. If you want to see the recorded videos of those, we can get those to you. Please email us. Also, we have done one ADAudit Plus, and we'll be doing the one today, and then of course we'll be doing another one next week. The idea of the workshops is to really give you, our customers, some insight into how we, as well as other customers that have come back to us, are using our products and some different ideas around that. We just want to make sure that the products are being used to the full efficiency as possible because they are pretty powerful and give you insights into things that are going on. There was a request after last week to just do a quick overview of what we covered last week, so I'm going to start with that. I'm going to take about 2 minutes for that, and then we'll jump right into today's workshop. So last week what we talked about was the setup. We talked about setting up ADAudit Plus. Some of the most important things with regard to the setup was, first and foremost, going into group policy and establishing the audit policy. So here is my GPO, and in my GPO I will show you both types of audit policy that you can set up. One of them is this audit policy right here, which is of course under our computer configuration, and then you have a second type of audit policy, which is the advanced audit policy, and the advanced audit policy is down here, and these advanced audit policy settings are valid for Windows Server 2008 R2 and greater. Once you establish the audit policy, you then need to go into Active Directory users and computers, and from within Active Directory users and computers, you need to establish exactly what you want to track. So here inside of Active Directory users and computers, if I go to my domain node, properties, security, advanced, auditing, you will see that I am tracking computers, groups, OUs, users, and whatnot. So these are the initial configurations that you need to make so that ADAudit Plus can go in and start pulling information out of your security log. And by doing those two steps, the group policy as well as the audit, auditing under the security tab, you will have inside of Event Viewer, you will have in your security log thousands upon thousands of events depending on the size. We do have some guidelines for that. Again, if you missed last week and you want some documentation from what we covered last week on some best practices for setup, we certainly can send you that. We can also send you a link to the actual workshop itself. So this is the setup of getting ADAudit Plus kind of running on the domain controller side. And then we went in and we talked about some different settings in here with regard to making sure that you brought in all of your domain controllers, and you also set up alerts and whatnot for when things weren't working so that you didn't miss anything. So that's what we covered last week, and just so that everybody's on the same page, the idea of these workshops is we're not going to be able to cover everything in a 45-minute time span. So you know, if we do not touch on anything, we strongly encourage you to give your feedback on what you would like to see within a workshop. Also, if you have any particular needs, whether it be with reports, whether it be with configurations, whether it be with future features, please just send us an email. We'd love to hear from you and get input on that. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to focus primarily on reports. So within the reports in ADAudit Plus, you will see on the left-hand side that we have many categories. I haven't actually counted all these categories, but I know that there's over 10. There's about 15 different categories. And then within each category, if you highlight it or expand it, you will see that we have a multitude of different reports. So for example, under logon reports, you have logon failures, And for each and every report, you can define the period. Now, I'm often asked the question, well, how did you decide on the default period? Well, the default period was decided just based on volume of what people are going to be looking at. So we kind of made that decision ourselves based on that, but we give you the opportunity to establish what period you want to look at, and you can even see here that I've created some customized periods myself. So let's say that we want to go in and look at the last 6 months of time frame here, and we can look at logon failures over that custom time frame. And what this allows you to do is really you have the ability to look at certain time frames on exactly what's going on within your organization. Because the tool works across a multitude of domain controllers, all of your domain controllers, we're able to pull the information that's happening on your network. So here you can see that I have some logon failures, and we actually give you the reasons and whatnot. So, you know, the reports are actually pretty powerful in what it gives you the ability to look at. So here you can see that I have the top users that have had failures. I've had some people try to log on as the admin, and the name doesn't exist. And I've had some different things and different reasons for these particular logon failures. Okay. Now you can of course go through and look at all the different areas that we have for your reports. And what you're going to find is the reports have a very consistent structure, which of course that's by design. So we just looked at logon failures. If we look at all Active Directory changes that have occurred in the last, let's say, 24 hours, you're going to get a similar type of look and feel. But often what happens is we had to make a decision on exactly what we wanted to report and show you, and you may want to look at other information. Always keep in mind that every single report has the ability for you to add or remove columns, and of course these columns differ depending on exactly what you're wanting to look at. So I encourage all of you to really go in and look at these additional columns, because there can be some really good information. Let me give you an example of this. So here is a report of the last 6 months of interactive logon failures. And here you can see that there are many more options than what you had before. We can include the SID, we can include the workstation name. So just because what we've given you here isn't what you need, most likely if you go to the additional columns, now you can actually look at that information. Now, when you start really investigating these particular reports, we encourage you to, of course, look at the columns and look at the details, but sometimes what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with a tremendous amount of changes that occur. So let's say, for example, if I go over the last 6 weeks of changes that have occurred in Active Directory, I have quite a long list of things that are occurring, right? So let's say, for example, all of these are groups except for the first one, which is user. Another feature that we give you is if you click on this option here, you can go to the object type and you can just search on that particular object type, basically filtering out. And you can filter, as you can see, on any of the columns that you have. So the filter action is really pretty powerful. So not only are we pulling the information out of the security logs, we're also giving you the ability to filter and customize this information as you go through. Now, another thing that's important with this, as you set up your filters, you may set up filters, whether it be a range combined with what you're looking for, because someone's asking you for specific information. So let's say that the auditor comes to you and says, all right, I need to know over the last, let's say, from April 1st to April, let's say, this is May, to May 1st. I need to know in that time frame all of the users that failed or that were changed. or modified. So what you can do is you can set this up. So here you see my custom range, April, all the users, and what changed for all users. Then every single report has an export as option. Now this export as option is pretty powerful because if you start comparing ADAudit Plus with other solutions, and I'm gonna pick a little bit on PowerShell. PowerShell is extremely powerful, but if you were to try to customize a PowerShell commandlet to dig out a custom range across all of your domain controller security logs for just user modifications and then export it as a PDF, that can get a little cumbersome. But here we went to custom range, we went to the filter, and we went to export as. So with 3 clicks, we were able to get this information extremely fast. Okay? So again, much of what I'm showing you here is the idea that we want to focus on the ease of this. Now, the title of today of our workshop was talking about privileged access. So let's really focus in on some reports related to privileged access. If you come under account management, you have administrator user actions or administrative user actions. Now, it defaults to the administrator for Active Directory. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, and much of what has been done in my environment is related to Derek. Now, Derek is my main administrator, and as you can see over the last 30 days, right here, Derek has made some modifications to some things in Active Directory. Of course, if I want to go beyond the 30 days, and let's say I look at the last 6 months, I should have more modifications. So you'll see a breakdown of top users that have been modified. Not only has Derek modified users, but most likely Derek has computers, groups, and whatnot that have also been modified. If any of these things are important to you or someone is asking you for them, of course, you can export each and every one of them. Plus, you have the ability to add reports to a area that you can access quickly. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let's be honest. We have over 125 reports here. Not all of us really like to hunt for these reports. So what we give you the ability to do is we give you the ability to add reports to your reports. So you see my reports right here. So I can add this report to my reports, and then you can actually set up categories. Now I have multiple categories here, and you can create your own categories. So I want this to be under privileged access. So I can save this report now under privileged access, and when I go to privileged access, now all I have to do is go to administrative user actions, and I have the information that I need. Notice that it saved my time frame and it saved my user. So this gives you the ability to now go in and create an environment that is more efficient for you and for the reports that you want. So you will see that I have some of my reports here. Some of them are actually I have the 500 SID of administrator, as well as I have the new account that was renamed from administrator. And you'll see here that I have some changes. So I have administrator and James Bond. James Bond is my 500 SID, but when I renamed it, I created another administrator account. If you want to get information about that, this is called a honeypot, and I actually wrote a blog on this. If you go to our community pit stop, I wrote a blog on why that's important. But again, any report you can save as the favorite under my reports, and you can even categorize them. Notice that ADAP doesn't show up even though it's a report profile, because there's no report saved under it. So you can add or remove reports to these categorized my reports as you see fit. Okay? So that kind of gives you an idea of some of the power of some of the default reports like administrative user actions, those that have privileges, and then how you can actually take advantage of some of the features of ADAudit Plus for you to actually go in and take advantage of that. Now, we have another report down here, and I'm going to see if I can go down and find this report. I think it's here under Group Modification, and we have Modified Admin Groups. Now, let me give you kind of a rundown of how this is set up. You'll notice that we have logon activity up here. Then we have generic account management, and then individually user group computer OU GPO management. And then for GPOs, we have generic and advanced GPO management, and then we kind of have a lump of other AD objects, right? Obviously, I have passwords, containers, and whatnot here, okay? So you'll see that we have a very logical structure of what's going on. Then we have permissions, then we have DNS, removable storage, and then down here we have something called profile-based reports. Now these profile-based reports are very awesome because some of them give you great information about things that are occurring in the organization. So again, we encourage you to kind of do a good hour of looking for these particular reports. A lot. And if I go to this report, you will see that in the last 6 months that I have changes to many different admin groups. But I hope all of you are looking at this going, what does admin group mean? Because that was the first thing that I thought years ago when I saw the tool, is what in the world does admin group mean? So what I want to do is I want to talk you through how to get around in ADAudit Plus to look at what is meant by the report, as well as how to modify the report to customize for your environment where you need it, okay? Now, all of these reports, whether they're profile-based or not, you can look at them under configuration, okay? Now, under configuration, you're going to choose the type of object. This is a group modification. And here you see modified admin groups. This modified admin groups report is a default report. You should have this in your installation of ADAudit Plus. Now, if you click on the modify profile, you will see a list of groups. Now, let's talk a couple of things through this report profile. First of all, you will see that we have the different types of categories here. So this is a group modification. And then you will see what can happen to a particular group. Now, this is modifying the group, so we are going to add or remove a member. But you can see here that there are many other types of things that can change, okay? Then down below, we have the groups: administrators, domain, schema, enterprise admins, backup operators, and the like. This list can be customized. You will notice that I have finance managers and HR managers in my list. Those are not default groups. Those are groups that I have placed inside of this report profile. Now, why is that important? Well, let's go into Active Directory users and computers. So inside of Active Directory users and computers, let's say that someone modifies finance managers. So if I come in here under finance and I have finance managers, where are my finance managers? Let's see. Hold on one second. Sometimes you got to find stuff. HR managers. So here are my HR, where are my groups? Let's just do this. Let me show you how to add one. So let's say, for example, that I have execs. This is a security group, and I want to add execs to this report. So I come in here and I add in, if I could type, execs to the list, okay? Now I update it. So now when I go to reports and I go to My Reports, Modified Admin Groups, Execs is included. So if someone comes into Execs and they add someone to the list, that now is going to show up in this report. Okay? That is how simple it is for you to customize the existing reports to fit your environment. Okay? Extremely powerful to do this. So what I want you to do is, when we're done with the workshop, I want you to go in, and I know all of you have had desires to do something, but I want you to pick a report that you use often, and I just want you to quickly customize it to see how easy it is to customize. Under this configuration, you just go to the type, edit, and you're done. That's how simple the customization of these reports can be. Now, another thing that I want to throw in with reports, which I feel is probably one of the most important pieces of ADAudit Plus from an administrator standpoint, are the alerts. Now, the idea is that you can associate an alert with any report, okay? So imagine, if I have a report that I have customized to include a particular group, this group is so important that I want to receive an alert every time the group changes membership. So if I go under alerts, I am going to create a new alert profile. This is a new alert profile, this modified admin groups. You simply give it a name and description. This is what you type in. You give it a severity level. That way you have a color coding to know what's going on. Then you specify the report profile. Notice when I hit the plus, I'm going to be able to go in and look at a category. Now, this is group modification, right? Modified admin groups of what I selected. So I'm specifying a report here. Then I can send out an email notification if I want. I can also customize the alert. Now, what does this look like without anything but just what I have here? If I go to the home, you will see that I have an alert here show up on the dashboard just because I have an alert associated with a report, and the report now has a custom group added to the report. Now what I want to do is I want to review with you how simple this is to set up. I simply went to Configuration, Group, the Report, Edit, and added in Execs. Then I went to Alerts, and I created a new profile just defining basic information. This was typed in by me, this was typed in by me, and I picked the right report, and now that shows up as an alert. That's how easy it is, okay? All of you should have alerts specified for the critical security configurations in Active Directory, okay? Now, many of you have heard me talk before, and when I talk, often I talk about security hardening. Security hardening is this concept that we have to have reports and therefore alerts for the critical areas of things that are changing in Active Directory. If we can get this, we now can just step away and wait for emails to show up on the critical security areas, okay? So, again, your second action item after the workshop, first you're going to go and customize an existing report. Then I want you to set up an alert for that because it's important to you, okay? All right, so what we've done so far is we have looked at the default reports, how to modify a default report, and then how to associate an alert with one of those reports. Another area under reports that we feel is underutilized is this idea of aggregate reports. Now, Many of you are using your dashboard, and you will see that the dashboard has the last 7 days, the last 30 days, the last 1 day, and the dashboard is really good when you want to see information that's occurring kind of right now, here and now. If we jump out to another ADAudit Plus installation that I have out here, you will see that there's some more information out here. This one's used a lot more than my little demo environment, but you can see log peak hours, password changes. I mean, this is really kind of a, hey, what's going on in your environment right now? But often you want to see things that are going on over time. Again, you have the auditor sitting at your door asking you for information. Maybe information about a particular user over the last 6 months. Maybe there was a question of integrity for one particular user's behavior. And that's really where this idea of aggregated reports came in. Now with aggregated reports, we give you a couple of different things that you can look at. First and foremost, the idea is that we give you a longer period of time that you can look at compared to the dashboard, okay? So let's say that this year, I want to look at logon events. I have 41 failures, and I have 760,000 successes, okay? But that doesn't really give me much information. What about the details of the failures? All of this is now hyperlinked, and I can drill down into the details. So here you can see that Derek is the majority of the logon successes, and then I have some other users that are here under the success. But what about the failures? Well, what I can do is I can look per user at the types of failures that are occurring, and then I have it broken down here into how these are viewed. So if I want to look at Patsy, right? She has 4 bad passwords. I can look at the dates, I can look at the computers, I can look at the details around this. So the aggregated reports are really designed for longer term, allowing you to look at specifics of the information related to that. Also, you have this drop down, and you have reason-based. So one, we were looking at the user, and now we flipped it, and now we're looking at the reason. If I want to look at all users' bad passwords in a view, I simply click on it. It's going to go in and pull up all 32 bad password entry, and now I can look at a report related to this. So the aggregated reports give you a lot of insight, especially when you feel that you're being attacked, into kind of what's going on with your logon. So these are logon events. We also have account management. Now account management, remember, account here is user, group, computer, OU, GPO, and other, okay? So let's say, for example, you're the group policy administrator, and you want to know all the changes for this year that have occurred to group policy and what have been modified, okay? So you click on this, and you notice that all of the modifications, most of them, have occurred by Derek. Well, what about the other modifications? You click on this, and you will see that these are probably being changed by a system or maybe a service account or something else in the environment. But this gives you an idea now of what is occurring for very detailed information in your environment. I go around the world and I talk about how we as administrators aren't the only one that have the ability to make changes in Active Directory. The aggregated reports allow you to focus on things that are occurring by other administrators for object management within Active Directory. This is extremely difficult information to get without a tool like this. And again, everything here is privileged access. I cannot make a change to a user, a group, a computer without having privileged access. So everything that I'm showing you here is related to this idea that I can have reports on privileged access, okay? So far we've looked at a report related to account management for administrative user actions. We looked at administrative groups, and now we've looked at these aggregated reports for account management, which is again all about privileged access. So if you're under compliance regulations, if you have auditors that are worried about privileged access, if you have a boss worried about it, you can generate these reports so that you have others in your environment that can get this detailed information so that you're sharing this information with them. Okay? So again, we have a multitude of these reports related to this privileged access that you can look at. Now, finally what I want to do is I want to kind of focus on kind of a bigger situation. The bigger situation that I want to talk about is something that I want you to be able to extrapolate. Now, we all have particular auditors or security professionals or bosses that really focus on a particular aspect of Active Directory in our environment. Personally, over the last 15 to 20 years, it seems to me that the #1 conflict area around privileged access are service accounts. Now, if I come in here to services.msc and I look at this logon as, you will see that I have some accounts that are Active Directory accounts that are used as service accounts. This is only on one machine. If I have 1,000 servers, how do I get this information and also track it so that I know the behavior of what's happening with service accounts? So we took a look at this, and I spearheaded the project, and I had an amazing group of people working with me to help me with it. And what we decided to do was develop a solution around service accounts that will help organizations control these accounts, because they are very difficult to control and it's difficult to know where they're all used. So if you actually go to our webpage and you go to our free tools, you can download the AD Manager free tool set. Now I know it's AD Manager, but that's okay. And if you download and install the tool, these are all free, you have a service account management. This piece of this tool is about a year old, so it's not very old, but it's extremely powerful. The idea is that for free, you can select all of your Windows servers. Once you've selected the Windows servers, you can go get the service accounts on those Windows servers. Now you will see that some of these are built in, so we actually added a filter to only look at user accounts. Now that you have these user accounts, you simply need to create a custom report and alert to inform you of when things change with those accounts. So if I now go back into ADAudit Plus and I go to custom reports, you will see that I have service account modifications. Now, I can create a new one, but let me just show you the steps. This is a relatively new piece. If you haven't seen this interface, I encourage you to upgrade to get this new custom report view, okay? Now, the way this works is you input this information, you give it the type of view that you want, and then you're going to specify what you want the report to report on. Now, I have 80 objects and then user management. You will see that I have user, I have group, computer, OU, and the like. And I have specified that any and every type of user management thing that can occur is what I want to focus on. So for any service account, I want to report on any change that can occur to that service account. Then I go in and I set up a filter to just include my service accounts. Okay? If the username equals, you hit this and, oh, I'm sorry, you basically click on it and you get a list of users and you click them. How do you know which users? Well, you use the free tool. Okay? If you wanted to also add in other filters, say for example, you want to know if the account did something from another computer, you could add in multiple filters and put in other information about them. So here's where you can really start to push the limits of our filters. You can specify which columns that you want displayed here, as well as dynamically once you get to the report. You can schedule it, and then you can even set up privacy to say, okay, I want this to be available to everyone or just me. Once you have this report established, it now shows up under custom reports. So here you can see service account modifications, and I'm going to view the reports. In the last 24 hours, there haven't been any changes, but that's okay. That's what we want, right, for our service accounts. If someone goes in and they modify a service account, let's say that they disable an account, how detrimental would that be in your environment? If someone disables the account, first you could come in here, of course, and for your custom reports, you can get the information that something changed. But I also have set up, through my alerts, an alert which says that that was changed. And now I get the details on that. Everything is hyperlinked, as you can see. Okay? So what I'm trying to get you to see is that by utilizing the reports and the different types of reports and the different ways to look at the reports, you now can have real-time information to you because you've created a report and you've also associated an alert with that report to get you the information that you need, okay? Now, with regard to reports, we kind of have some different sections now. These are default reports, as you know. This area over here becomes more of, let's call it favorites. These are things that I quickly hit on my reports. I can organize them as I showed you for the privileged access, and this allows me to gain access to reports quickly compared to over on the left, which is all of them. We also have aggregated reports, which is more of a longer term, allowing you to do searching and drill downs. And then finally, as I just showed you, we have these custom reports. And the custom reports allow you to go in, give a name, description, how you're going to organize what the report looks like, whether it's going to be logon, you know, AD objects, GPOs, log on, log off, and of course, everything that you click on here changes. So let's say that I want to know if someone, right, creates a new OU, right? So I simply come in here, so I want to know if a new OU is created, new OU. I come down here, say OU created, I go to next. I want to know the details around that. Let's say I want to get the caller SID, right? So that's going to be the first thing that shows up. I can do charts, I can do filters, and I save it. Okay, so now I have another custom report, and now I just have a report. In the last 24 hours, nothing has changed. But if I come in here and someone decides to create a new organizational unit, and let's call it Sweden, now if I go back and I update this, I now have the SID that did that, and my SID, Derek, is 1,000, and I have the details around that. So this is how simple it is to generate these new reports. And of course, now I can go and I can add these to my reports, even though it's a custom report, so that I get more control over this. Now, one more last thing that I want to kind of go through, and I want to go out to this other page, is you know, we've really tried to do a bang-up job. Maybe my mouse is not working here. Hold on. Okay, so when you get a chart, right? Of course you can click on these things, but you can also change the chart type. So depending on how users like to look at it, or possibly depending on the information you're looking at, you want to change the chart type, you can now do this dynamically, quickly, through our chart little wizard here when you have a chart selected, which is kind of why I'm pointing this out, because you can add these charts in your custom reports. Not every report needs a chart, so it doesn't always make sense. But when you have a chart, it's kind of nice to be able to look at the different types of charts that you can create. Some people like pie, some people like bar charts, but again, depending on what you're looking at, it can make more sense in a pie versus some kind of a chart like this when you're looking at percentages. So that gives you a pretty thorough rundown of the reports, the different types of reports, and how you can manipulate the different reports. Some of you have been asking questions along the way. We have a group kind of in the background working with me. Thank you guys for doing that. Answering your questions, and we thank you so much. I thank you guys in the background for helping me answer those questions which we go through. Where are we going to go from here? Well, from here, we're going to have a recording of this workshop. We have a recording of last week's workshop. If you email me or email anyone on the team, we'd be more than happy to get you a copy or a link to that. My email address is derek@manageengine.com, and send it to me and I'd be more than happy to get you the links for that. Last week we had quite a few documents that we gave links to. If you want those links to those documents, we can do that for you as well. We are having a couple of webinars. We had one Tuesday of this week. We have one next week and the week after. If you want to join the webinar and get some more information, more generic type information, somewhat related to our products, but more just generic, please email us and we can get you signed up for those. And then next week at this exact same time, we're going to have another workshop. Next week workshop is going to be on best practices for ADAudit Plus. So I hope that if you do have time to come spend a little time with me, no matter where you are around the world, that next week at this same time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, you can come join me and the rest of my team in the background on best practices for ADAudit Plus. I will reiterate that we take input from all of our customers, whether it be good or bad. We do prefer good, on what you guys are looking for. So if you have reports that you want, if you have features that you want, please send those to us and we will put those in the system, and we will try to get you more workshops, more seminars, more webinars related to this. I'm going to finish with kind of a plug for my seminars, our seminars. We will be in Los Angeles and San Francisco, just outside of San Francisco in Pleasanton, at our beautiful offices in Pleasanton, the second week of August. And we would love to see anyone in those regions come. I'd love to shake your hand. I'd love to talk to you about Active Directory, group policy, security, and try to get solutions for you. And if nothing else, it's an enjoyable environment for you to come and learn some additional stuff. We are going to be focusing a lot on security hardening and how you run reports and make sure that you keep your servers hardened. So that will be for those seminars. So again, I want to thank everyone for attending. I want to thank everyone for your time. I want to thank everyone in the background for helping me out with questions. And if your question wasn't answered, which I'm kind of looking at the list here, and most everyone's questions have been answered. Thanks, Karthik, for that. And if for some reason your question isn't answered, I think Karthik's going to stay on here for the next couple of minutes, answer those. And if for some reason it isn't answered, we'll get you the email answer. Okay? So thank you so much for your time. Hopefully this was very useful for you. We look forward to your feedback. And until next time, this is Derek Melber with the rest of the AD Solutions team. Thank you very much.